I've been meeting with a lot of agents recently, and a big question that's come up is how do you decide when to hire your first assistant? What does that look like? And what is the process that you go through to actually hire that person? So I'm going to rattle off a few things here to help you out and things to think about. So first, when you're hiring an assistant, you need to decide, am I hiring this person more for luxury or am I hiring this person more for leverage? The difference is that if you are hiring them for luxury, then that means it's going to sound something like this. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Assistant, I need you to go do this for me because I'm going to spend more time for me on the golf course, maybe more time with your family, maybe just more time not doing anything but real estate. Or if you're hiring them for leverage, then you're hiring them and saying, Mr. and Mrs. Assistant, I need you to take care of these things for me because I'm going to spend more time on the phone calling people. I'm going to spend more time door knocking. I'm going to do more open houses. I'm going to do more networking events. Whatever your lead gen source is, that is for you. That is what you're going to spend your extra time doing. So the important part is when you're going to hire this person, make sure that you're clear of whether you are hiring them for luxury or whether you are hiring them for leverage in order to do more business. Number of units, I would say, looking at for your first assistant, you should be doing 35 to 40 transactions a year on a really consistent basis and feel like you have the ability to go out and get more. And that's why you would want to bring that assistant on. So once you've made that decision, the next thing is for you to decide what your business is going to look like in the future. So there are two different kinds of assistants that you can hire. You can hire one assistant that will help you really just like on the day-to-day, do whatever you need to do, or you can hire an empire builder. But it really depends what you want your business to look like. So if you're just bringing it on and it's like, I want to go from 40 units in this case to 60 units, and then I'm just gonna hang out at 60 units for maybe 5 years, 6 years and make this a really comfortable career for me. So you can probably afford to pay the assistant a little bit less. But if you're going to be hiring someone to help you build an empire and you want to have multiple team members, you want to grow from 40 units to 80 units to 120 units to 200 units to 250, your first hire is so important to make sure that you get that person right and that they can actually help you build the business. And in some way, they're going to be able to push you because they're going to drag some things out of you and they're going to actually cost you a little bit more money than someone to just go run errands for you or set signs for you or do some of the basic stuff. I have a list of 129 tasks that a real estate agent does on a day-to-day basis. So if you want that list, you can message me, text me, whatever you want, and I'll send that list out to you at no cost. What I would do is I would actually highlight all of the things that you want this person to do off that list of 129, or if you have a task list of all the things you do, highlight all of the things that you don't want to do anymore and that you're not going to do anymore. And then you give that to the assistant on the first day and say, hey, here's your job description. Here's what this looks like for you. Third, so now that we understand we're going to go hire someone to help us build just a little bit, or we're going to go hire an empire builder to help us build a lot, we need to figure out where we're actually going to get that person from. So one spot that I go to first is Indeed. It is the free option to put an ad out there. You're going to need a job description. So with a job description, you can do one of two things. You can either create your own by using the task list that I had mentioned, highlighting the ones that you want them to do, and then taking those highlighted tasks and putting them in the job description. That's one really simple way to do it. Or you can rip off and duplicate from somebody else. If you can find one of mine, you're welcome to do that. If you can find somebody in your area, they probably have assistant job description that you can use. You can also find some inspiration from any executive assistant is a good title to use for this. Anybody that is hiring for an executive assistant, they're going to have some pretty similar tasks and job descriptions and things that you want. Fourth is the interview process. So once you post your Indeed ad and you post a link to that on your Facebook and all that good stuff, you drive traffic to that, you're going to get people that start clicking on the ads and people that start applying. So the first step is to reach out to those people and do a phone interview. So after I review their resume, I call them and I go through my 10 questions. They're very generic. Idea of this call is to really do a discovery. So one, you want to make sure that they understand the job that they're applying for and what your pay is and what benefits you offer or don't offer. That way, if they have an issue with one of those things right up front, you can move on and you don't waste any more time with them. The other thing you're trying to do is figure out who they are a little bit and figure out their personality and just feel it's a match for you. Things you want to look out for are, did they answer the phone at the time that you had scheduled to answer the phone? Do they respond well? Do they talk clearly? Do they have a lot of stuff going on in the background? Kids screaming, dogs barking, they're driving, this wasn't their focus. They just kind of added it into their day. If you like them, great. If you don't, move on. So the next step after you've done the phone interview with them is to have them do some form of an assessment. For me, what we use is the Keller Williams personality assessment. It's very in-depth. If you're with a Keller Williams, you have access to that for free. If you're not, you can send them something else like a DISC assessment, which you can get, I believe, on Tony Robbins' website. It might be down right now, but that might be coming up soon. And there's two reasons I send them assessment. The first one is because one, I want to see if they can follow directions. So I send them an assessment and I give them a deadline that I want that back. If they can't follow deadlines now, they're not going to be following deadlines when they work for you. The second reason I send out the assessment is because it gives you some idea of what their personality is like, and you want to do that so you can figure out if they're a match for your personality. So I'm a high D driver. If I get somebody that needs to analyze things and take forever to make decisions, it just drives me nuts. And that's not anything good or bad. It's just that we're different personalities. So you don't want to find someone that is too far different from you because you just won't mesh well with them. I also don't use this as any sort of pass fail. So if they are not maybe the personality that I was looking for or they're close, I don't just like, oh, nope, it's not exactly it. Then, don't talk to them again. Don't do anything with them. Still bring them in for an interview and take a look at them and try to uncover if that's actually their personality or if maybe there was something going on in their life that caused them to answer the questions differently than what they could have. During your in-person interview, the next step, bringing them in, is you're going to go through questions with them. If you have the Keller Williams personality assessment, it has all the questions in there, so you really don't have to think of that. If you don't have the Keller Williams one, and you're using a DISC one that doesn't have questions with it, you can just Google 50 interview questions to ask people during their first interview, and it's going to bring up plenty of things for you to ask them. The whole idea for this is just to spend some time with them in person, find out if they show up on time, see how they're dressed, see how they respond to questions, and just try to get a general gauge if you like them or not, and if you feel like they would be a good fit for your company, and uncover their values. And if those values match with your values, then you might have a fit. Okay, so we've done interview one. We still like them. We're moving on to interview two. I like to do what's called a life story interview, where you ask them to work through their entire work history with you. Dates, roles, specifics, conflicts they had, coworkers they liked, coworkers they didn't like, bosses they liked, bosses they didn't like. When they start to tell you all these things, you'll get an understanding if this person consistently has conflict with other people that they're around. You'll be able to tie things together a lot better when they start telling you stories. So I asked them for everything and I just work backwards. So where did you work at last? What was your job title? What did you do? What was the job like there? Tell me about a great relationship you had there. Tell me about a bad relationship you had there. Why'd you leave? Just ask a ton of questions around that. And then when they're done with that one, go, okay, where did you work at before that? Okay, where did you work at before that? Okay, where did you work at before that? And so on and so forth. You'll also get an idea when you write all this down in order. You'll understand a lot more about them the first time that you do this. It's pretty cool. So if you feel pretty comfortable with them at that point, you could bring them on and you could say, okay, I'm ready to make a decision and schedule another time for them to come back in, and you can make the job offer to them. Or if you need more time, then you can do another interview and you can ask more questions and spend more time with them. Once you have decided, okay, I'm going to bring them on, I'd like to make them an offer. Before you do that, I recommend that you call through their references. So ask them for 3 to 5 references, and everyone is going to give you 3 or 5 good references. Nobody ever puts down somebody's name that's going to say anything bad about them. So what you want to do is when you call those references, you can ask them a standard, 5 questions. What's your relationship with them? How long did you work with them? Would you work with them again? What was something great that they did? What was something that they have opportunity for? And then the last question is going to be the most important one. Ask them, who else do they know that worked with this person that might give them a different perspective? They could give you someone else that you were already referred to or you already have information for, but they could give you someone that was not on the list that you were given. And if you can ask all of these people that same question and you can go from 3 to 5 references that you have for them, now you're in 10, 12, 15 references that you have for this person because you've been asking each person to give you somebody different, you're going to get a really good idea of who it is that they really are because you're going to get past 3 to 5 gatekeepers that they're giving you up front. Hopefully this helps you hire your first assistant. If you have any questions or you still need a little bit of help with it or anything at all, feel free to reach out to me, shoot me a message, text me. All my information is super public, so do whatever you want with that. And thanks for watching.